We've been a leader in banking for more than 100 years. You'll find us here, at home, on your phone, and everywhere you go. Renaissance Bank. Understanding you. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Sponsored by Renaissance Bank.
Good morning and welcome to Daily Journal Newsbreak for Thursday, March 29th. I'm your host, Chris Kiefer, and we're going to take a look at the top news and sports stories from Northeast Mississippi. But first, let's start with your weather forecast. Today's forecast calls for thunderstorms. That's a 90% chance of rain with a high of 66 and a low of 46. Looking ahead at your 3-day outlook, Friday, partly cloudy skies with a high of 64 and a low of 41. Saturday, sunny with a high of 71 and a low of 51. And on Sunday, rain, that's an 80% chance with a high of 57 and a low of 44. Let's take a look now at today's top headlines. When both the Mississippi House and Senate voted to end the 2018 session on Wednesday morning, a bill died on the Senate calendar that could have provided funds for transportation needs. The bill died when Senate leadership opted not to bring it up. It would have transferred to transportation needs half of revenue growth above 2% each year. The House already had passed the proposal. Considering that the state revenue growth has not reached 2% since fiscal year 2015, it is questionable how much impact the proposal would have on what most agree are transportation needs totaling hundreds of millions of dollars each year. Still, the bill's death represents the difficulty the legislature is having coming up with a transportation plan. Lawmakers have been grappling for multiple years with how to generate more money for transportation. Studies have indicated an additional $400 million per year is needed to deal with a deteriorating system of roads and bridges. The only plan that passed this year was an agreement to issue $50 million in bonds for substandard county bridges. Tupelo leaders have reconvened talks over public transportation possibilities. Members of Mayor Jason Shelton's administration and city council members met on Tuesday morning with representatives of Northeast Mississippi Community Services. The two groups are exploring whether there is an opportunity for a partnership. Such a partnership would see the city of Tupelo pay the Boonville organization to operate a public transportation system within the All-America City, likely for a trial period. The price tag for such a partnership has not yet been determined. The Tupelo City Council has appropriated $225,000 for public transportation spending. During Tuesday's meeting, Tupelo leaders sketched out a wish list for the kind of system they would like to see. That includes a desire for it to operate 5 days a week and for its lines to include routes through several neighborhoods. Northeast Mississippi Community Services currently provides on-demand public transportation to residents in Alcorn, Prentiss, Tishomingo, and Marshall counties. Funding through the Mississippi Department of Transportation could help offset the costs of expanding services into Tupelo. For more than 2 decades, the family of Bobby Spencer has waited for the late Shannon Police chief to receive his proper due. Spencer was shot and killed as he entered the Shannon Police Station in the pre-dawn hours of Saturday, January 18, 1997. The case remains unsolved. In May, Spencer's name will be added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C., and to the Mississippi Fallen Officers Memorial. Spencer's daughter, Andrea Spencer, said she had no idea the memorial was in the works. She also said it could not have happened at a better time. Bobby Spencer's widow, Teresa Spencer, was recently diagnosed with cancer and underwent her first chemotherapy session a couple of weeks ago. The national and state unveiling ceremonies will be held during National Police Week, which is May 13th to 19th. There will be a candlelight vigil on May 13th at 8 p.m. in Washington, D.C., where the new names will be read out loud. A similar ceremony will be held in Jackson on May 15th at 6 p.m. And in sports, the Ole Miss baseball team's Chase Cockrell has found that wider is better. After he put up solid power numbers at Hines Community College, the Louisiana native was recruited to do the same at Ole Miss. His first season was a struggle, but after other approaches failed, hitting coach Mark Clement encouraged Cockrell to widen his stance. That has led to a turnaround season for Cockrell, and he hopes it continues tonight. The 4th-ranked Rebels will host 5th-ranked Arkansas at 6:30 in the first game of a 3-game series. The two teams also will play at 6:30 on Friday and at 1:30 on Saturday. Cockrell is now hitting .421 in 57 at-bats. After starting the year on the bench, he may have played himself into a spot as the regular designated hitter. Meanwhile, the Mississippi State baseball team is at LSU this weekend in a series that also begins tonight at 7. The two teams will also play Friday at 7 and Saturday at 2. That does it for Newsbreak on this Thursday. Don't forget that this show is just one of the many online offerings, courtesy of the Daily Journal, that gets you news off the page and on the go. Listen to the Prep Rally podcast for the latest in Northeast Mississippi high school sports with hosts Brad Locke and Dalton Middleton. This week, they discuss the Kasuth basketball coaching situation, the retirement of Mooreville's Jeff Talley, and Tupelo baseball. You can hear it in Apple Podcasts or Google Play or on our website at preprally.djournal.com. And the Memo podcast takes a deep dive into a single topic each week to give you a greater understanding of Northeast Mississippi. This week's show looks at the unique dynamic of Mississippi's open U.S. Senate race. Look for the episode later this afternoon in Apple Podcasts and Google Play or online at memo.djournal.com. Any story discussed on Newsbreak can be found in your daily journal or online at djournal.com, where you can also find a new episode of Newsbreak each weekday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Kiefer. Have a great Thursday.